Fox 11 Investigates recently looked into how that program is being used here in Wisconsin. Robert Hornacek dug into the data, found a couple of the smallest departments right here in northeast Wisconsin are some of the state's biggest users of the program.
This is the Townsend Police Department. The entire Townsend Police Department. What the small-town force lacks in manpower,
this is our command center.
It more than makes up for.
This is just one of our semis here.
In horsepower.
We utilize this piece of equipment in the spring through the fall almost monthly.
Humvees, SUVs, semis, all former military vehicles that are now police vehicles. It's part of what's called the 1033 program, where old military equipment is transferred to local police. All the local department has to pay for is shipping. While Townsend does not have any armored vehicles or high-powered weapons, the small town is one of the state's largest users of the program. So how much military equipment does the Townsend Police Department have? Well, since 2012, the department has received more than 60 different types of equipment from the federal government, including 10 different vehicles. Total value of all this military equipment, more than $888,000.
This generator here is a 100 kilowatt generator.
Nick Ashbeck is chief of police in Townsend. He says this generator is a perfect example of how the program works. Earlier this month, storms tore through Townsend, knocking out power. Town Chairman Bruce Caro says thanks to one of the town's 3 military generators, emergency crews stayed out of the dark.
So we had access to everything that we needed when the whole rest of the region was out of power.
Would Townsend have that generator if it weren't for this program?
Probably not.
Ashbeck says without the program, the town would not have all of these vehicles either.
Do you understand how somebody would look at it and say, wow, that's an awful lot of equipment for an awfully small police department?
I do see both sides of that, and I do see where the people are coming from when they're on the outside and looking in. Basically what the people don't know is that they're comparing us just to a one-man or one-and-a-half-man department here or a small community. We are affiliated with all the different townships around us that we have mutual aid contracts with.
Ashbeck, who also serves as the Wabeno police chief, says all of this equipment is shared by agencies throughout the region, like this off-road rescue squad. It's been used 22 times in the last 2 years.
If we had to pay dollar for dollar what a piece of equipment like this is worth, chances are our small agency and departments, again, would never be able to obtain a piece of equipment like this.
The area's search and rescue team has more than 100 people on it, and Ashbeck says all of them have access to Townsend's stockpile of military gear. It's not just the 2 police officers.
What do you say to people who would question the amount of equipment Townsend has?
What I'd say is that the equipment that we do have, we do utilize. And just to have equipment in our arsenal here to use for search and rescue, for police work, is a huge cost savings to the taxpayers.
That's outrageous. It really is.
Richard Perrins from the Brown County Taxpayers Association doesn't buy that.
I think they saw this huge opportunity to get a lot of stuff for nothing, and they took advantage of it.
Townsend is not the only small-town department taking advantage of the program.
I ordered 2.
Officer Scott Knutson runs the program in Denmark.
That we're going to make for our go bags in case we have an active shooter in a building.
While Denmark police did receive 2 M16s from the military, the department only has 1 military vehicle, this blue pickup truck. The vast majority of the military gear is pretty basic stuff. Helmets, backpacks, a defibrillator. In all, Denmark police have acquired more than 100 different types of equipment worth more than $107,000. Again, all the department had to pay was shipping.
What's the benefit to taxpayers?
Saving them money. We're doing our best with the budget constraints that we're under to fulfill the needs and the safety of their lives.
There's a difference between wants and what you need.
Parents questions how much of this equipment is really necessary.
This is all equipment that the taxpayers have already paid for.
Right.
That the military is saying, look, we don't need this stuff anymore. Why shouldn't a department like Townsend or Denmark get the equipment that they think they need?
Well, if it truly is a need, if it's something they are thinking of purchasing now, then I would suspect that would be a good move on their part to get it for nothing. But if it's just something you want to have, I just think it's going to never get used. It could have been sent somewhere else. It could have been sold.
Just because some person somewhere thinks that you shouldn't have it doesn't necessarily make that so.
Ron Towns is the chief of police in Denmark, and he says they might never use some of the equipment. But that is not the point.
My thought has always been it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it.
While the equipment may come in handy, the question for some is how much is too much? For Fox 11 Investigates, I'm Robert Hornacek.
Also, to watch Robert's original report or see the full list of military gear that has been shipped to Wisconsin police departments over the last 2 years, go to the Investigate section of fox11online.com.